if they get inside, they are gonna kill us.
I don't know what to do.
Of all the things you can choose to be in this life, please do not become this guy over here. This guy is single-handedly the dumbest and the most complacent character I have ever seen on TV. Never once have I wanted the main character of a horror movie to die so bad than I did when watching this movie. You see, usually in horror movies or psychological thrillers, you root for the protagonist. You want them to be smart enough and fast enough to evade whatever harm that is awaiting them. But not this movie. In this movie, you are going to spend a lot of the time hoping that this particular guy is killed off. So let me tell you a little about the movie before we delve into the plot of the movie proper. This movie is a psychological thriller which explores themes of morality, cultural differences, and the lengths people are willing to go to maintain civility. It revolves around an American couple, Ben and Louise, who meet another couple, Paddy and Ciara, while on a vacation in Italy. After the trip, the two couples stay in touch and decide to visit each other. But when the American couple visits their hosts begin to act a little too weird.
Paddy, can we swim? Yeah. Same way I learned, sink or swim.
Their guests are willing to turn a blind eye to how weird and unusual the whole situation is. It's literally this meme. So with that out of the way, we can now delve into the movie and explore its characters. Let's do that. In one of the very first scenes of this movie, we are introduced to our main characters. We have Ben here, his wife Louise, and their daughter Agnes. Suddenly, a man with sunglasses approaches and he asks them a simple question.
Is this chair free?
Referring to a third lounger on which a doll and a book, presumably belonging to Agnes, lay. Ben and Louise look at each other in confusion and I think shock. So at this point, Ben here can just say it's taken and offer no further explanation. Instead, he decides, you know what mate, take it, as he picks the items up from the lounger. So the man drags the chair along as Ben's wife looks at Ben with disapproval and disgust. And as if that wasn't enough, Ben continues watching the other family as the man who just finessed him for the chair shares a beer with his wife. He turns to his wife to ask if she too would like a beer.
You want a beer?
To which she says this.
It's a little early, but if you want one.
He turns around again as he watches the stranger jump into the pool. So clearly he wishes his family would be more fun, drinking beers, jumping in the pool, and not being afraid to go for what they want. But as it stands, they are just a boring family. Not very long after, the same couple who we now know as Paddy and Ciara with their son return Agnes's bunny doll, which they lost while roaming the city. But there's something visibly wrong with this kid.
And you must be Aunt.
Oh, Aunt has some trouble communicating, so he can be a bit insecure.
But there's more. In every scene that we've seen the parents in, they have had outfit changes. But this boy always has the same baseball cap and this blue shirt on in all the scenes he has been in so far. First at the pool and now here. But maybe it's no big deal. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Perhaps that's just his favorite outfit. Let's move on. So yet again, Paddy challenges Ben and his wife. And this time he wants to take their daughter Agnes on a ride on the motorbike without helmets.
I promise. I'll be really safe.
Not that it would be okay if they had helmets, there is still the risk of this stranger you only met a few days ago kidnapping your child, or worse, they getting in an accident. So obviously this time Ben firmly plants his feet in the ground and says no, he's not going to allow it. No, I'm kidding. He allows them to go anyway.
See you guys in a sec.
Thankfully, nothing happened and they got back safely. But hypothetically speaking, if Paddy and Ciara were a deranged couple roaming the earth looking for manipulatable families they could lure into their homes, kill and steal their child, you would agree with me that they would have found the perfect candidate. But that's just a hypothetical. Let's move on. They decide to go have lunch together where they talk more about their lives. Ben recently lost his job. His wife Louise is a vegetarian and is in PR, whatever that means. And Paddy here is a doctor. At a point during the lunch, this happens.
Oh my, right, that's it.
I know he only took off his sunglasses, so what about it? It's not so much about what he was taking off, but more about what he was revealing and why. At this point, Ben was explaining to them why they live in London.
But we've decided to stay in London because we love it.
We're 2 hours from here, or Paris,
And immediately Paddy heard that, he said this.
or Rome.
The West Country?
You remember the hypothetical situation I narrated not very long ago? If that were true, then this would be the perfect point for them to seal the deal and have these people in their grasp. He took off the glasses so he could look Ben in the eye to increase the chances of the manipulation working.
Right, that's it, then. You have to come and visit. Really, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah? Yeah, done.
As you can see here, Ben was clearly uncomfortable and was avoiding eye contact. But he has no spine, no conviction, so he agrees. Later in the evening, they go out again, have fun, and make a toast.
To new friends.
Now let's go on. In the very next scene, we see that Ben and Louise are back home in London, and Ben is in his daughter's room about to tuck her in. I noticed something very interesting before Ben went to tuck his daughter in. In this scene, when he stands in the window, we see him looking at his wife on her phone texting. And he gives off this look of, I don't know, but it's like... So maybe there's something to this scene, so don't forget about it because we'll be revisiting it very soon. He goes back to the kitchen where his wife sits. They find out that their pal Paddy had written them, reminding them about that visit they promised. And these people decide, why not? Let's go visit the strangers we barely know. Surely they won't try to kill us and steal our child. So sometime later they decided to pack up and go visit their friends. Here's another very interesting scene from when they were going to visit Paddy. I didn't think much of it when I was watching it then, but in retrospect, this is some brilliant foreshadowing.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Something's going to happen later in the video and we are going to revisit this scene, so it's all going to make sense, don't worry about it. But for those of you who have seen the movie, let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. After several hours and a lot of windy roads, they finally arrive at the house. Paddy's wife, Ciara, gives them a tour and shows Agnes to her room.
Look, Agnes, I made you a little bed. Do you like it?
Now look at this room and compare it to her room back in London. Do you think a 12-year-old with that room back home, who is also obsessed with the doll, will enjoy sleeping here?
Do you like it?
Of course not. But before she could even answer, her mother says this.
Yes, it's great.
So far, it has all been a drastic change. The house isn't as nice as they hoped. And again, what is going on with this kid? Why is he wearing the same dress in every single scene? I guess we'll find out later. Now let's move on to one of the scenes which shows how much of a weakling, a coward, and a piece of crap this man Ben here is. So it is said that when Paddy heard that Ben and his family were coming to visit, he prepared a goose in their honor. So he cuts a piece of that meat and offers it to Louise. I hope you remember that earlier in the video I said Louise was a vegetarian. He slowly inches his meat closer and closer to Louise's mouth. Deliberate choice of words. Husband of the year over here just stands back and allows it to happen. As a husband and a man, what would you do when someone is force feeding your wife, who's a vegetarian, some meat? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I wouldn't let that slide. More and more weird things continue to happen.
Come on, mate. Bedtime, chop chop.
Not very long after that, we can hear him wailing in the room.
Is he all right?
Oh, no, he's fine.
But Ciara explains that the crying is just part of his condition. Now remember those scenes I told you were going to pay off later in the video? This is where that happened. The next evening, Ben and his wife get into a heated argument. And then he says this.
You are so angry.
Yes, for seeing another man's dick on my wife's phone.
So it turns out Louise kind of cheated.
Not when you're sexting a dad at your daughter's school like a fucking teenager.
So with that information in mind, you can now enjoy these scenes better.
Oh gosh. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
So later that night, Louise got up to check on their daughter to find out she was missing. So she searched the entire house only to find her daughter in Paddy and Ciara's bed. And you can imagine what any mother would feel at this point. She had had enough and decided,
What? We're leaving.
surely now that they've escaped, there'll be no reason for them to go back. Right? Wrong. This child lost her doll again.
We'll buy another hobby.
No, I need my hobby.
They drove back into that danger zone. I could go on explaining this movie scene by scene, but that would just take a very long time. So I'm just going to skip to the climax. When they went to retrieve the doll, they were convinced to stay a bit longer. And during that time, the little boy aunt managed to sneak Agnes to a hidden room in the house. It was at this point he explained the entire plan to Agnes. Paddy and Ciara go around looking for gullible and manipulatable families who they could lure into their home, kill them, steal their child, and abuse and torture the child. So this time, Agnes and her family are the unlucky ones. Her parents will be killed and she will become a slave until they find their next victims. At which point, she will also be executed. The entire family, including aunt, is captured. So Ben and his wife are about to be killed. Their daughter's tongue will be cut off, so she won't be able to warn the next family. All is lost. They are in a house in the middle of nowhere with nobody coming to save them. The only way they survive this is if one of them steps up and fights for the family.
Paddy, please. Hands behind your back.
Okay, so Louise steps up to fight, and even when a weapon fell right in front of Ben, he does this. He cowers and doesn't even try to attack the woman who is pointing a gun at his wife. But they managed to get out of there, run to a safer place in that same house, and when Louise tried to devise a strategy with her husband, this dummy broke down.
Okay, like, I should have not let us come. We shouldn't have stayed.
Stop it! Your family needs you.
Even the little boy was surprised at how weak and incompetent this guy was. At one point, this grown-ass man went to hide in a locker like a puppy. This guy was so incompetent that he failed his family even when it was a matter of life and death. He couldn't even deliver the final blow to Paddy when all the work had been done for him. It was the little boy who stepped up and put an end to his captor's life.
That's my boy.
So the moral lesson here is, please, no matter what you do, do not be like Ben. Do not hang out with people like Ben. Do not marry someone like Ben, because when you need them the most, that is when they are going to disappoint you. And you should also learn to speak up when you're uncomfortable in a certain situation. Because if you do not speak up, your thoughts and concerns will not be heard and you'll just be a pawn in someone else's game. Well, I think that's it. I really appreciate you for watching to the end, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If this is so, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It will really go a long way to help the channel out. And if you haven't seen this movie, I'll entreat you to go watch it because it's actually very good. There's a lot of things I wasn't able to put in this video. Come back here when you do and let me know your thoughts. That's it for today. Thank you, and I'll see you another time. Bye.